The Departed was Martin Scorsese's 2006 film, and it is one of his many masterpieces. It finally won him the Oscar for the 2006 Best Picture, Best Director. Something that a lot of people think he should have won for in 1976 and 1980 and 1990 for Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and Goodfellas, respectively. Now, I used to be on board with all that, but yeah, it's just that I used to love Taxi. I still love Taxi Driver, but it's kind of like slipped off the thing with me. Like I no longer love it as much as I used to. But you know, whatever. This is about The Departed. Now, yeah, I still do think that this is really one of Scorsese's best films. It was said to be the first Scorsese film with an actual storyline to it, because most of what he did have all been rise and fall stories. I disagree with people saying that this was Scorsese's first film with an actual story. I just think that this is the Scorsese film with his best story, because he did a few things beforehand with actual premises to them. Like you had Mean Streets and After Hours and Gangs of New York, which also had good storylines to them. But you know, this one simply is best. It's a remake of a 2002 Japanese film called Internal Affairs. No, Infernal Affairs. And yeah, I thought that this actually beat that one. There's barely any flaws to this, really. Any sort of flaw that happens in this have all been erased by all the good, and that's really what it's really what good filmmaking is. It's ultimately what makes the film truly great. Barely any flaws or no flaws at all, and those little flaws that are in there are greatly diminished. So, I like to consider this film to be if William Shakespeare wrote a play involving the Mafia and the Boston police. Well, police in general. This movie just happens to take place in Boston, and yeah, when you really come to think about it, when you look at the depth of the characters and how similar they are to one another, how similar the subplots are to one another, like they're pretty much reciprocals of each other. That's pretty Shakespearean right there. So, yeah, the movie takes place in 2006, even though Frank Costello was around decades before. He's played by Jack Nicholson, and obviously he does a good job in it. You know what? When I say everyone does a good job in this one, it stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Alec Baldwin, and Martin Sheen and Vera Farmiga. And they're all at the top of their game in this. Really. So, yeah, so where Frank Costello is... He takes this little kid named Colin Sullivan as pretty much a foster son while he's still running all of organized crime in Boston. So Colin grows up, and he now played by Matt Damon, and while he's still with Costello, graduates from the police force. And meanwhile, while he graduates, there's this other young man named William Costigan, who's played by Leonardo DiCaprio. And DiCaprio, his family also has ties with organized crime way back when, but Costigan, William himself, really wants to break free from everything. That's why he chooses to be a cop. Now, two men in the undercover unit, who are Martin Sheen and Mark Wahlberg, they decide to get DiCaprio to be so deep and so far undercover that it's just crazy. It's crazy how deep they want to get undercover to infiltrate Costello. And that's what's so great about this. So it makes it Shakespearean. A gangster who's Matt Damon goes undercover to infiltrate the police. A policeman who's played by Leonardo DiCaprio goes undercover to infiltrate the Mafia. The reciprocals of each other. I love it. And yeah, it's just genius the way that everything happens. But not all that glitters is gold. While both guys are in each other's world, they find out that there's a rat in Costello's crew. So both men try to keep their real identities under wraps from one another, and it's mostly them tracking DiCaprio because Matt Damon is a little bit more. He's a little bit farther away from Costello, and he's a little bit more into the police force. So yeah, it's about mostly about trying to track down Costello's the mole that's in Costello's crew. And it's just so fascinating, all these little subplots and each richly layered development that happens with each character and each plot mechanism. Like each character is just so rich and detailed, and the plots plural also so rich and detailed. And it's pretty shocking, some of the scenes, and chill to the bone. Some of the things, there's some bits where I thought were a little bit over the top, like with the profanity and the machismo, a little bit maybe not machismo, but macho sort of stuff. But you know what? Whatever. That's just such a minor quibble. This movie is really off the charts with everything else, and I thought that because the movie is so off the charts, cancels out all of the flaws. This movie right here, one of my 100 favorite films ever. I adore The Departed. So yeah, this movie right here is really one of Martin Scorsese's best films that he has ever and will ever do. It is one of the 5 best films of the 2000s, one of the best films of the century so far. I'll even go so far as to say. So I'm going to give The Departed 4 stars.